I struggle a little bit with comic shops, how some people view comic shops, and increasingly feel like the retailer and to a large extent a lot of customers are kind of left out in the cold, left in the middle of two warring factions, neither of which sound very appealing to them. It's disheartening. And as somebody who's about to open up a new store, where do you go from here? Hey everybody, this is Perch. It's funny. You can go on. You can have like one post, one tweet, one comment that can really kind of knock you down. And the one that it's interesting. My social media presence is curious. I've come on. I've been surprised by a couple things. I did a thread a while back saying that, as an anonymous poster, when I needed to do that to protect my business because maniacs were coming in and disrupting it. And the maniacs, by the way, came from multiple sides. They would be all kinds of different fronts, or sometimes it would just be somebody who had a grudge against an employee who would then act like a crazy person and make all kinds of bold claims on Yelp. And these platforms don't do a good job of policing their own. So I went anonymous so I could at least have some kind of comic book life that I didn't have to worry was going to connect into everything else because people are nuts. What I was surprised to discover is that as an anonymous account, I found myself getting more understanding, kinder, and more interested to listen to other people. I didn't become some hard-edged jerk that is going to, post lots of crazy inflammatory opinions. In fairness, I wasn't trying to get a lot of followers. I think I see almost everybody who really wants to get into that 10,000 follower range, wants to get a bunch of subscribers, wants to post very inflammatory things over and over and over and over. And certainly being kind of a lunatic helps that along. I mean, I've done a number of experiments. I did an experiment saying, hey, here's a really positive review of Birds of Prey. Here's a really negative review of Birds of Prey. The post about we'll post them right at the same time within 20 seconds of each other. The positive review got 30, 40 likes, a couple retweets. The negative one got hundreds. In videos, when the title sounds more negative, when it sounds more jarring, it gets twice the views. That's the way the internet works. And I guess maybe the out clause I found for myself is that I'm not trying to get a lot of numbers. So I'm very grateful and I'm thankful to the numbers I do have because I think that the people who are giving them to me are more authentic. They're people who are actually wanting to listen, wanting to talk, wanting to share ideas, not necessarily wanting to agree or be told what to think. And it sounds maybe too harsh, but I feel like a lot of the people who go in and go for rage bait on a constant basis, that's the game they're playing. They have to keep feeding that rage over and over. And they say things that if you take a step back and you look at it, become patently ridiculous. And one of the things that I've talked about before many times, is this idea that the comic shop enables Marvel and DC's bad behavior because they keep ordering the comics. And if they didn't order the comics, then that would show Marvel and DC and they'd have to change. And this is said by somebody with, and I'm sorry, a substandard education. And I know that triggers a bunch of people. Sorry, you like to post little memes of the weirdo woman in the hat screaming. I find the people who get triggered over this on the other side just as ridiculous. But you understand nothing about business fundamentals if you think that a handful of comic shops, or even 50% of the comic shops out there, stop ordering Marvel one day and say, here, we're teaching you a lesson. Well, it would also teach them to go out of business. These people would all lose their professions and their jobs. And there are a handful of people out there who say, good, they deserve to lose it. They're propping up an evil, rotten system, so they should deserve to go into welfare and not have a shop, and screw them anyway. They should. I've seen some people say there's some comic shops that exclusively order crowdfunded comics and nothing else. I mean, have you looked at how would that even work? What do you think? What are you talking about? That makes no sense. And the interesting part about a lot of these people is they don't go on shows where they get their ideas challenged. They don't go on podcasts where somebody will say, hey, why don't you explain that one out? Explain how that would work. They stick to their own bubble and they kind of all, for lack of a better word, jerk off in a circle, and they keep this mentality. I think that why that bugs me so much is one, it's an absurd statement, and I have trouble with anything that is outright absurd. It's to me the same level of, like, you can't get past go, you can't collect $200, as somebody who says that all of the Indiegogo titles are from Nazi white supremacist people. That's a ludicrous statement. It's that's just stupid, and the people who say that are stupid. I've been very outspoken about a lot of the dumb things, from block bots to this kind of weird name calling that goes on, to treating fans like garbage. Absolutely, I'm outspoken against it. But the people on the other end who are the comic shops all have to die because 8 of them insulted jawbreakers once upon a time. You're out of your minds. I'm sorry, you are out of your minds. You sound crazy. And I've used this analogy before. It'd be like if a handful of restaurants put up posters campaigning for Bernie Sanders. And by the way, plenty of restaurants do that. Far more than 8 have little, Trump go home. There's several restaurants I see in the Seattle area that says Trump people not welcome. Trump people go home. I think that's stupid to chase away business when you need business to survive. But hey, if they've worked out a business model where their clientele, the people giving them money, goes for that and that works for them, then okay, happy days for you, I guess. I mean, whatever lets you sleep at night. I mean, it's your business, it's your catch. But imagine if you, as a customer, encountered one of those stores, you were really offended. You're like, well, I'm never going to eat at that restaurant again. In fact, I'm going to eat at no restaurants again, because all the restaurants, if they really didn't like this, they would stop ordering food. They would stop ordering supplies because you know what? Some of those food supplier companies have people who gave to Democrats, and just that's absurd. You live in a tiny little cabin as a mountain man and a weird little hillbilly. That's what you would be if you took these things, these conclusions. So it sounds good on live streams to talk about throwing down the patriarchy. I mean, throwing down the comic shops. It sounds a lot the same, to be honest with you. But it makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. Do you know what? There are people out there who enjoy Marvel comics and DC comics and independent comics and crowdfunded comics and Jawbreakers. Yes, in all these comics, there's people out there who enjoy these books, and they will take out their wallets and they'll take out their cash and they'll buy these books, and that's their business. Not mine, not yours, not anybody's. The retailer's goal is to connect people who want the books with the books. That's their sole purpose. Any retailer who goes out and does weird ideological movements for themselves goes out of business. That's how that works too. No comic shop is going, well, you know, for, Future Foundation only sells about 4 copies in my store, but I do have to support C.B. Cebulski, so I guess I'll order 50. Granted, it supports him and it keeps Marvel going, and I'll lose a bunch of money and barely scrape by, so I'll try and sneak these comics into people's pull boxes, and maybe they'll take them home without realizing it. I mean, there's just no way you can go through this scenario in a fashion that doesn't make you sound like a crazy person. There's not a way to do it. So, you know, lots of people have lots of opinions, and everybody is welcome to them, certainly. But at some point, I mean, there's got to be some self-reflection. There's got to be some level of it. Are the words I'm saying crazy words, or do they make sense? And have I thought through these statements I'm making? And as long as I'm busy with my torches and my pitchforks, and I'm out to go fight the SJW menace for being triggered little snowflakes, maybe I ought to back off a little bit on the fact that every time I see like a Marvel press release or an ad on Twitter, I lose my mind and I have to start roasting it and immediately run to the PC and record a video about how this film that I'm not going to watch is making me crazy. I mean, I'm just saying, you're all the same. I throw you all into one big pit and stir you up. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's awful bitter. Live and let live. What was I saying earlier about social media and anonymity and that has made me a nicer person? Oh, it hasn't been the case tonight, I guess. But I'm hoping that there's, of the 12 people who are going to hear this and go, he's against us. I'm hoping at least one of them's like, wait a minute, I don't want to sound like an idiot. Let me think about this again. But this doesn't make any sense what I've been saying all this time. I, you know, I did a video a long, long time ago. It was one of the early ones when I did this channel about don't give away your power. And it's the truest statement of all the statements. You have the power. It's your time, your eyeballs, your wallet, your money, your commerce, and you can spend it and do it however you like. And if the more you want to go out and roast people and get angry and go on little war campaign. No, it's not a war campaign. I'm not talking about the war campaign, the Twitter thing. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The more you go off to battle, the more you're actually giving away your power. You're taking time. You're taking your time away to fight something you don't like that is most defeated by you just not funding it. By not giving it your attention, by not giving it your dollars and everything else, you're hurting it more than anything else. That's that's the way you do a damage, not 50 videos. I'm just saying it's fun. I mean, again, if that's your fun, then that's your fun, I guess. I don't know. Um, you know what? This is the last. I've done too many videos on this topic already. This is going to be the last one, and I'm moving on. Again, I'm not trying to get to 10,000 followers or 10,000 subscribers. I'm doing what I do. I'm giving it to you as best I can. So I'm going to move away from this topic. I've done too much of it already, and we'll get back. We'll just talk comics. I think the war about comics is going to continue. The people who are wanting to go out and have an enemy that they can rail against are going to continue to do that. Man, I mean, let me know when you're done. I'll keep the door open for you. I'll have a cup of coffee and waiting for when you're done with your fight, and we can get back to whatever the hell this industry is supposed to be about. Anyway, hey, what do you think? Subscribe, comment. Are you tired of it? I'm tired of it. My bones are weary. I'm just so tired of this fight because it's going. It'd be better if there was like some moment where it seemed like something was happening, but nothing is happening. Like literally nothing is happening. It's just the same fight, same thing. Dollars are moving here and there. And I mean, cool. It's like, can we get to the second half already of this game? We've been stuck in second quarter, 2-minute warning. Why do I always go for the dumb sports analogies? I don't know. Anyway, follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. You don't have to follow me actually. You can just go there and you can ask me questions. You can not increase my follower count. That's cool. Whatever you want to do, man. It's all you. Thanks for listening.